And revenue is everything because revenue is what drives everything, right? If you don't have revenue, you do not have a business. If you don't have revenue, you can have staff, you can grow, you can do anything.
Welcome to Question Everything, where we question everything because why not? Questions can move the world in a different direction because perspective is everything. And today, to shift our perspective, we have Chris Cardi, here to talk to us about helping entrepreneurs and real estate investors build wealth and amplify their impact through tax planning. Her passion is wealth, and not just wealth and taxes, but the legacy aspect of wealth and taxes and how financial literacy can change your world.
I am a certified tax advisor and CFO, and I work with small business owners, primarily real estate investors, construction companies, and now shifting to serving women entrepreneurs. I believe that saving on taxes is an amazing thing, but just saving on taxes is not enough. What we do with the savings is even more important. We can use the savings to get tax advantage assets that can help us to create lasting wealth. And creating lasting wealth is something that I am really passionate about because I think that everyone should have the opportunity to create wealth, not just for now, but for their future generations. So I'd say that I am super passionate about helping women entrepreneurs because being a woman myself in business, I've had my fair share of struggles in finding harmony between growing a business and maintaining my responsibilities with my family. And my goal is to be able to help women leverage their businesses to create lasting wealth, but be able to harmonize the business creation, wealth creation, and family life at the same time. Basically, let's go out there and create lasting wealth, but live the life of our dreams at the same time. We don't have to settle for one or the other. It doesn't have to be that we build an amazing business or we are well set on our way to creating lasting wealth, but our family suffers. We have to be able to do both. So let's get it.
Let's get it. I love that. So you're very passionate about creating the legacy piece of not just saving taxes, but creating generational wealth and the legacy piece of what the strategy of taxes can provide for particularly women in business. Do you work with any men?
Yes, I do. I work with a lot of construction companies. My background in accounting is for 14 years. I worked with a construction company in the Virgin Islands. So I knew construction for accounting for construction companies inside out, not just the accounting part, but the project management part, because the company that I worked for, when we started, they were one guy and a team of 3 people. And then over the time that I worked with them, we grew into something really, really huge. And I was in the middle of all of that. And so I'm like, okay, I have all this experience in construction accounting. Why not market to contractors? And I got contractors and a lot of real estate investors. But if I'm honest, for years, I've known that my true calling really is serving women. Yeah, it's always been that. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like that thing that is that thing that you're supposed to do, but for some reason you're running away from that, right? So that was my thing. And I was running away from it. And I'll be honest, when I looked at it and I looked at the finances of it, I'm like, okay, I could make a lot more serving contracting than I could if I moved over to serving women. Sometimes we think about the financial part of things because of the financial responsibilities that you have, but you don't think about the fulfillment part of it or purpose part of it, right? Yeah. And we all have a purpose. Serving women, that's my purpose. And so it's your purpose when it comes really easily to you. Don't have to work hard for it. It just happens. And so that's what's happening now with the project that I'm working on, where I'm shifting to I'm still serving my clients, my current clients, but I'm shifting to I really want to walk in the space where I can use not just my knowledge, I can use my knowledge, I can use my education, and I can use my experience to help other women who's been in the position that that I was. I've been there. I've gone through the issues with your family, issues with your kids, and issues with your business where you're trying to do something and you feel stuck because you're feeling guilty about spending all this time in this business, and then you're feeling guilty because you're missing all these precious moments with your kids, right? So what are you to do? But if legacy is what you want, it means that you have to spend all this time in your business, because the business is what you're going to leverage to give you that legacy that you're trying to build. But on the other hand, you can't build that legacy to the detriment of everything else, because the very people that you're building a legacy for, at the end of the day, when you're done building, they're going to be gone. Those relationships are going to be severed. So how are you going to be able to not balance? Because I don't think balance is a thing. I think people look at balance and think that balance is giving 50% to one thing and 50% to the other, and it can never be that way, right? So I call it harmonizing the two of them. Like, how do I find harmony between the business side of things and the personal side of things? So this is what it is I'm working on right now. It's got me really fired up.
I love that. I love all of that. Harmony instead of balance, because there is no such thing as balance. And you stated this perfectly when you said balance being 50% to one thing and 50% to other. That's like in a relationship. If each person shows up and the relationship is 50-50, then you've got two half-assed people putting forth half of who they are, right?
Yeah.
When the harmony is you put 100% into your business and 100% into your family, so that, and I'm assuming here, but this sounds like what you're trying to accomplish is when you're at your business, you're purposely and intentionally at the business. But when you are spending time with your family, you are purposely and intentionally 100% in there. And I would probably venture to say you probably have some strategies that help these women to not only be 100% for their business, but be 100% for the things that matter in their business that are going to move the needle. So they're not doing a bunch of busy work just to say, I'm doing business, but actually doing the things that matter.
Yes. Okay. So when it comes to being there, being present 100%, right? In business, the first thing that you have to be able to understand is there are things that are, there's a hierarchy on the things that you have to do. There are things that are critical. These are the things that you absolutely have to do yourself. And there are things that are, although they're important, they're not critical to bringing in revenue. And revenue is everything, because revenue is what drives everything, right? If you don't have revenue, you do not have a business. If you don't have revenue, you can have staff, you can grow, you can do anything. So the revenue generating activities, finding, prioritizing them, and then delegating the other activities. So this is what worked for me. So in the beginning, I was the person who, I'll be honest, I have control issues. So I want to do everything because I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be done like this way, and it needs to be done in that time. That's how I was in the beginning. I always own up to my, I always own up to it. That's how I was. But you can't be that way, because if you're that way, you can never grow, right? Because you're one person, and you can never grow beyond that one person if you're doing everything. So what I started doing was first implementing systems. What systems does is systems give you back time. If everything is standardized, you can get back your time, that you can now take that time and focus on the family part of things, right? So I started creating SOPs. I use tools that basically just tracked my mouse when I'm doing something, and it creates the SOPs for me. Yeah, there's a tool called Tango, and so it does that. So it tracks everything that I do on the computer, and it literally creates an SOP from tracking the mouse. After I'm done, it'll give you step one, step two, step three, everything that I did. And so that allowed me to create SOPs. So I'm okay, this is how I did it, and now I can pass it on to someone else so that they can do it exactly how I did it, without me having to look over the shoulder to make sure that it was being done properly, right? So that took me out of the administrative task. I'm tasks of things and put me in the position where now I have more time to spend on the business rather than in the business. And it's the time on the business that really matters because it gives you time to strategize. Now you can think about new ideas. You can think about ways that you can grow. You can bring in, okay, different revenue streams. You can do different things with that time that are revenue generating rather than spending your time doing administrative tasks. The next thing I did was I brought my daughter into my business. So if you can, the easiest path to harmony is being able to take your family and bring them into the business because now they understand the vision. You're all working together towards the same thing. So I brought my daughter into the business. So my daughter is 15 now, but she was 14 at the time when I decided, okay, I'm gonna have to bring her into the business so that all that time that she needs from me, that I can't afford to take away from the business right now, I can still give her time, but I'm teaching her something that is valuable. So she's learning a skill, she's learning to be an entrepreneur, she's learning to think independently, and I could get a tax deduction for it.
Come on. Yes.
Yes.
The value of knowing the taxes, right?
Yes. So and I'm all about the tax deduction. If I can help someone make their life tax deductible, that's like goals for me. So she's 14, so that she's been in the business for 2 years now. So she's working, she has a job, she takes care of my administrative stuff, she takes care of my calendar, she's the one who books my appointment, she's the one who tells me, so we sit down and we have conversations. Okay, next week you have X number of appointments, and she basically runs everything when it comes to my calendar, right? But on the so that allows to spend time with her, and then we can go out to lunch on a Sunday or whatever it is, and we can sit down and we can eat and we can have fun and we can have discussions, and then I can deduct it as a business expense because she's a team member and we're having a business meeting.
Oh my goodness. You literally have cracked the code on how to live your life and save on taxes and spend time with your family.
Yes.
And teach them how to be, out of the system of trading a whole lot of their time for a little bit of someone else's money.
Yes.
This is incredible.
But you want to know what the best part about that is? So for this one, like this tax strategy, right? The best part about it is not the tax deduction. Hey, I'm all for tax deductions, but what if you could get a tax deduction and help your kid build tax-free wealth at the same time? So,
Ooh.
yeah.
Wow.
So this is what happened. So every year you could pay your kid up to the standard deduction. There is no federal taxes, there is no FICA, so there's no social security, no deductions on that money. Now, in your business, you can deduct the payroll. You can deduct the amount that you pay them. I don't call it payroll because you're not paying any taxes on it. So what happens is, say for example, this year we can pay up to I think $14,600, right? For the year. She's working, she's doing all the things. I can prove that she's working, and I'm paying her. Now I can take $7,000 of the money that I'm paying her and put that into a Roth IRA, a custodial Roth IRA, and invest that. When it goes in there, it went in tax-free because she's not paying any taxes on it. It grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free. That's money she's never going to pay taxes on. And you can do that every year for your kid from the time that that kid could work until they hit 17. So when they hit 17, that's the last year you can do it. You can do it at 18. 17 is the last year. But let's say you start doing this for your kid at 7 and you invest in the 7,000, like every year it goes up for inflation, and you invest in that. From 7 to 18, you're investing in that money in that account. Even if that child never adds any more to that account, when they get to retirement age, they have the minimum of at least $1 million, and it's tax free.
Is a Roth IRA indexed, or does it go up and down with the market?
So it just depends on where you invest it. You can choose where you invest it. And
Okay.
I tell clients, honestly, I am not a Wall Street person. I'm more of a Main Street person. I like assets that can appreciate in value, depreciate on paper,
Mm.
cash flow, and give you a tax deduction. So I tell clients, if I do this for my child for 3 years, I'm putting in 7,000, I get to $21,000 plus whatever interest. Now I say go out, put a down payment on a property with that $21,000 inside of the Roth. You can purchase a real estate property inside of the Roth.
You what?
Yeah,
Seriously?
yeah, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you
Oh
can.
my goodness.
Yes, you can.
My, I've wasted a lot of the, I won't say wasted. I perished for the lack of knowledge when my kids were growing up and the lack of ability to put this much money
Mm-hmm.
into them. They're in their 20s now, but my grandchildren are going to be set
Mm-hmm.
because now I know this and I can't unknow it.
Yeah,
This is a,
and you can do it for your grandkids too, but there's there's some little tweaks that you have to do to it because your kid and your grandkid are two different things, but there's a workaround for everything, and I know the workaround.
ah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So I know we just got started. We just dove right in. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna record an intro afterwards because there's no sense in going backwards now. You've already dropped so much value. I thought I had some questions prepared over here, and I'm like, I don't even want to ask these questions. You're just giving the value. Like this is who you are.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I was gonna ask was, I know Victor and Associates is your business.
Mm-hmm.
What was that pivotal moment that led you to start your business? And yeah, what was that pivotal moment? I know that for a lot of entrepreneurs that are either just starting or are still trying to kind of figure out what they're doing, hearing other people's pivotal moment where they decided, let me just start my business and go. Tell us a little bit about that and how your journey shaped along the way.
So if I'm honest, I'll say that I've always been anti-jobs. I
Hmm.
do not like jobs. I look at a job and I always think that me going to a job, it's me contributing to building someone else's dreams at the expense of my own.
Mm.
And I got that perspective from back in. So I'm from the Caribbean, like I said, I'm from the island of Dominica. We're Eastern Caribbean. And I used to work for this company. I used to be their accountant for a subsidiary that they owned. And I worked that job, just me, and that job required 3 people. But I worked that job on my own. And I had a kid at that time. My kid is young. And my kid is at home with my relatives. And every day at 5 p.m., the owner, his wife, and their kids walked out the office and went home. And I'm working 9, 10 o'clock at night. And my kid is at home being raised by my relatives while they got to go home every day at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And that always stuck with me because if you're the boss, you can go home whenever you feel like it, right? I mean, when you own a business in the beginning, you put in a lot of hours. But the hours that you put in is to build your dream, not someone else's. So I spent hours building their dream while they got to go home with whatever time they felt like it. They went home to play happy family, and I was at work working, and so that's always left this bad taste in my mouth for jobs. It was always a job to me was always a means to an end until I got to the point where I could go on my own.
Mm.
So this now the taxes part started for me because my daughter, when she turned 20, she got audited. And imagine being a parent and your phone rings and it's your daughter on the other end of the line and she's hysterical. And she is hysterical. She's crying. And I'm thinking like, what happened? And she's like, she's getting audited. And I need to fix it. I'm an accountant. That doesn't mean because I'm an accountant, I know how to fix an audit, right? So, but you're a parent. As a parent, you do whatever it is you have to make sure that your kids are okay. And so I started researching the tax code and trying to figure out how to get out of it. And as I'm researching, I'm just going, there's this light bulbs going off in my head because what I'm finding out is everyone thinks that the tax code is this big, bad monster, right? And everyone is afraid of the IRS. But as I'm researching, what I'm finding out is it may be big and it may be bad, but the sword is double-edged. So if you know the strategies, this is not something that is meant to punish you. This is something that you can use. You can literally use to build wealth. Because as I'm learning, what I'm seeing is, as an individual, the tax code doesn't care about, our tax system doesn't care about individuals. If you're a business owner, no, that's something different. Because as a business owner, you're providing jobs, you're helping government to pay for social services, which is their responsibility, you're helping them. The tax code has strategies in there built to help you. And when you go from being a business owner to being an investor, owning assets, it's a completely different ballgame. And that from that moment, that was it for me. It was, I was literally in love with taxes. And I know people will think like that's a weird thing to say, right? But I fell in love with taxes doing while I was researching. I'm like,
Wow.
growing up, one of the things I always knew that I wanted to do was help people. And this was the way that I was going to do it. Yeah.
This is powerful because I can't tell you how many people, just from not knowing what they could be doing, like I've been talking to some insurance agents, and they sent me the list of how many banks have insurance and how much insurance they have out, like how much of life insurance policies they have. Bank of America has $24 billion in life insurance. And what they do is they just take out policies on every one of their employees and every one of the people that are at their banks. And they take the money that we put in their bank on top of the money that they put they put it in the insurance policies, then they grow it, and then they lend out that money that they grow. We don't get it back. No. But they use it to basically gamble and like invest and make more money, and then they loan that out at interest rates back to you. And so you're paying, and you're putting in all of the stuff they need to grow, and you're not getting anything from it.
So we're the ones who are creating wealth for the banks. So me personally, I tell people everyone needs to have a rainy day fund. That's, we all do, right? And take for example, when COVID happened, we all need to have a rainy day fund. But you need to determine what your rainy day fund is, and everything else needs to be in assets. Because your money sitting in the bank is not working for you, it's working for them. So let's say, for example, even before you knew about the life insurance purchases and all of that, think about how you have savings in the bank. The bank is now giving credit with your money. The minimum interest rate they're getting on that is 18%, up to 26% on your money, and you get 2%. You get 2%. If you're lucky, you get 2%. Some banks are less than 1%.
Yeah.
So it is, the thing about money is that we have to think about what our goals are, and then figure out what are the things that you need to do to get to those goals, right? Our mindset about money is another huge thing. A lot of us, especially if you're a person of color, you grew up in households where those conversations were never had. I grew up in a household where no one ever had a conversation about money ever, right? And that is the norm for most households of color.
Yeah.
So you grew up with no one teaching you how to manage money. And on top of that, you grew up with people telling you the love of money is the root of all evil. So once someone tells you the love of money is the root of all evil, and that's been pounded into you for all your life, regardless of if you were thinking about it or not, it skews your relationship with money. And you grow up, you become an adult, and you have the scarcity mindset, because you're like, okay, I can't do this, because if I do this, then I love it. It's like I'm in love with money, and then if I love money, then I'm evil. You have all these things that you're carrying from childhood, right?
Yeah.
And you're not even aware of that, unless and until we address these things at the family level. Our kids, if we don't educate our kids about money, we're going to keep repeating the cycle over and over. And our school system is not teaching our kids how to manage money. Our school system puts you through a series of standardized tests and say you have a 4.0 GPA and you're off to college. But when you get to college, you're an adult. What are you gonna do now? Because you have to adult, right?
Right.
You're supposed to understand how to adult. You're supposed to understand how to take care of your expenses, but no one taught you. If
No.
no one taught you at home and no one taught you in school, then you're already lost. And remember, the Bible says, for lack of knowledge, many people perish, right? So yeah, so we have to teach our kids about money. We have to. And for me, the thing that I want to do the most is to be able to help other people, help other women. And so that if you're in a position where you don't understand, you now understand, and now you go teach your kids. It's breaking the cycle.
Hallelujah, sister. Yes. I'm so happy about this because you mentioned if the money conversation is never had, and you to add to what you said, you're taught that money is evil, and then you say you don't like money, but everything you do is for money, even if you don't want it to. And so you've lived with this ambivalence inside of you. I should not love money, but I have to love money because I have to survive. So now you're living with conflict inside of you, and you don't even know how to get rid of it because you don't know the truth. So you're saying a lot that resonates with my mentor right now, and I'm just curious. Do you know who Myron Golden is?
I listen to him a lot, yeah.
Okay, that's my mentor. Well, I'm
okay.
I'm in his inner circle. I get some coaching. I haven't paid for the one-on-one with him, but a lot of what you're saying is in line with what he teaches and the biblical principles behind everything, and I love that. We met through the what is that podcast group on Facebook, which
Yes.
another I like to call us either Myronites or Goldenites, people that I wouldn't say are fans of Myron Golden, but are inspired and influenced by some of the things that he says, at least the biblical part of it, right? The biblically based business principles. And we did not. This is the first time we're ever speaking, so we're getting to know it. This is the joy of Question Everything's podcast. Is I don't prepare ahead of time really. I think I looked at your Facebook page and your business page a little bit, but preparing questions just feels so uh I don't know.
Unnatural.
Huh?
Unnatural.
Unnatural, inauthentic, and
Yeah.
I'd rather I know that whatever is meant to come out is going to come out.
Hmm.
And so I love that about how you just dove right in and you're giving away all of these value nuggets to the audience. Um, and they're based in principles.
Hmm.
So for for women, like I know a few women that I can think of off the top of my head that when a money conversation comes up, they start freaking out inside, like they're in trouble, and they don't realize how money works, and it seems overwhelming to even learn financial literacy, right? What would you say to those women that are stuck in jobs and are afraid to have the money conversations or don't know how to manage the money?
So I'd say Dr. Miles Monroe is the person that I listen to the most about money. And his principle is that it just aligns with mine because he's like, we were not meant for jobs.
Hmm.
We were created for purpose. And our purpose is what will make us wealthy, not our jobs, right?
Right,
So if you're in a job, and like I said, sometimes you have to be because you have responsibilities, right?
right.
Uh, Dr. Monroe has the thing that he says. He says you you work on your job in the daytime, and when you go home, instead of sitting on the couch and watching TV, you work on your gift in the nighttime.
Hmm.
That is the business that is in your heart. That thing that you know is in there that you're meant to do to help others. Because our gifts are never for ourselves, it's always to help other people, right? So you
Hmm.
work on that in the nighttime. So that while you're at work, you have that responsibility is giving you the finances you need to fund your life. You're working on your business in the nighttime so that there's going to be a time when your business can take over your job and then you can move up from your job into your business. Now
Hmm.
the money conversation and learning about finance, right? It is something that I had a conversation with someone yesterday and I said, you know something? There is a point in our lives where we have to put on our big girl pants and say, yes, that happened as a kid. I grew up with all um, these cultural things that were being said to me, but now I'm an adult and I have to be the one who captains my ship. So I accept that it happens, but I'm going to put on my big girl pants now, and I'm going to make it a point to learn. And you have to start somewhere. So why not start here? And why not start today? Because
Hmm.
if you don't, you're going to continue putting it off. But every day you put it off is every day that you know less about money, is every day that you have less money, is every day that you know how you have less money and you have no idea how to get money or keep money.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's
That's
it's
so
the it's the it happened in my past. I take responsibility now. I may not like it. It may be uncomfortable, but growth happens in discomfort.
cool.
If I am if I'm comfortable, it means I'm not growing. And you can sit in your comfort, but you will sit in your same situation. Your situation will be the same always. If
Hmm.
you're going to have to get uncomfortable and you're going to have to learn new things so that you can move forward. And that's just it.
I love that. That is so powerful. And it's so real, right? The time is going to pass anyway. You're
Mhm.
already in pain.
Right?
Might as well make it worth it.
Exactly.
I love that. So trying to think. Uh, you've dropped a lot of knowledge in just without me having to ask any questions. I you just went. It was like it's you can tell that this is your passion and your purpose because it's just in you and it's overflowing. Talk to us a little bit about how because I don't think anybody, like you said, we weren't trained
Mhm.
to learn how to run a business. We weren't trained how to have a relationship with money. We were trained by a system that kept us designed to be workers.
Mhm.
And where does one begin to, like, there has to be a beginning point
Mhm.
where someone begins to unlearn and begins to learn, like, what route would you suggest for someone that is kind of on the fence, like their spirit knows that they shouldn't
Mhm.
be at this job slaving away for someone else's dream,
Mhm.
and you know a clear path that you have not only led yourself on but you're now leading your daughter on.
Mhm.
Where do they start to like, where what kind of resources could you recommend for
Okay, so the first thing I'd say, in the words of Nike, just do it. Just do it, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in that same place next year. Like you said, the time is going to pass. And everyone thinks that there is this blueprint that you follow. There isn't.
them?
It is feeling fast and feeling forward. It doesn't matter how much advice someone gives you, you're going to mess up. And that is the truth. And that's okay. The things are going to happen that you didn't expect. Learn from them. Don't sit in it, and keep moving. So if, say, for example, when the first thing go wrong, right? When you start a business, it's like Murphy's Law. Everything that could possibly go wrong is going to go wrong. That is the truth.
Yes.
However, if you look at it as opportunities to learn and to grow, you will not sit in it. I
Mm,
failed at something, I moved forward. I failed at something else, I learned from it, and I moved forward. Just don't sit in it. Because
yeah.
if you look at, a lot of people nowadays show you the glitz and they show you the glamour. They
Mm,
show you when they've arrived. I've made it. I made all of, I grew this business. I made all this revenue. They don't show you what is on the back of it. They
yeah.
don't show you the hundreds of times they failed. They don't show you the tears. They don't show you the sweat. But trust and believe. There's tears, there's sweat, there's stress, there's all of it. They just don't show you. It's part of the course on
Yeah.
on being in business. That's just how it is. So my advice would be, don't hesitate. I'm not telling you to go leave your job. I'll tell you to build it while you're working, and when the time is opportune, you move to being you move to being a business owner.
Mhm.
However, as you walk in it, just know that I am going to mess up. Go with the mentality that you're going to mess this up. And when I mess this up, I'm going to learn. I'm going to keep moving. That's it. And if you do that, you'll be okay. And another thing is, surround yourself with people who's been there and who's done it. So when you have a network, a circle of people around you who's been through the same things, it helps you so that you do not sit in the mistakes. You do not broaden the mistake. You have someone to say, oh, I did this and this is what happened and this is how you fix it. You have help. It's not you being on an island by yourself, right? So a network is like the most powerful thing that you can have.
Mm,
And mentorship. If you are able to afford one thing, mentorship is at the top of the list, because you're not getting a mentor to learn from their success. You're getting a mentor to learn from their mistakes. So whatever that person did, and they learned from it. Now, when you get there, you don't have to make the same mistake. You may
mm,
make the mistake, but you have someone to pull you out of it immediately. So mentorship is something that you should always invest in. And invest in yourself, in your skill, because you are your biggest asset.
mm,
If you don't invest in you, then you can't really go as far as you want to go in business. Because if you're the center, if you're the foundation, you have to be that person who is constantly learning and constantly growing.
mm. And culture flows from the top down. So if you're not investing in yourself and you're trying to run a company,
Mm-hmm.
the potential of ruining the culture with anyone you bring in if you're not developed, you're just passing down those horrible or not horrible traits, but you're passing down the lack of leadership. You need
Mhm.
mentorship. You need people with like minds. I love that. I love that you are giving so much to, I mean, you say that it's for women, but I'm a man and this is helping me. Maybe it's the hair. I don't know. No, I'm being silly, but no, this is valuable for both men and women. But I understand the vision of working with women because
Mhm.
they, you know, our society is not set up for women to succeed. It's also
Mhm.
not set up for minorities to succeed. But you get in rooms with other people that are succeeding, regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion, lack of religion.
Mhm.
Like they have knowledge, they have communities, they have leadership, they have books to read that give them the
Mhm.
knowledge, and you realize that it's not about all those outside factors. It's not
Mhm.
about where we come from or what we look like or what we agree or disagree with. It's about the knowledge that we have. Like when someone gives you a recipe, the recipe is going to work for me like it works for you if I follow the recipe and I
Mhm.
put the right ingredients at the right time at the right temperature, right? If I
Mhm.
mix it just right, if I use the right ingredients, I'm going to get mac and cheese. If I follow the recipe for mac and cheese, I will never get a ham. Nature does
I
not
love,
care,
I love that, right?
right?
It is, yes, it is that thing that wealth does not discriminate.
Mm,
Wealth has no knowledge of race, um, the color, like you said, creed, none of those things. Wealth is built on following laws, and if we know the laws and we follow them, we can all create wealth.
mm. So what would be, because
Mhm.
we talked about your bookshelf when you first walked in. You were
Mhm.
pointing at the books. I'm like, I recognize some of those. I love
Mhm.
that you have these books and they're not just turned sideways so you see the volume of books. They're
Mhm.
turned face on so you see and it's quality over quantity.
Mhm.
Why these books? Like why which are or maybe not that that's not the right question. What top three to five books should
Mhm.
people read to get them in a place where they can have a better relationship with money and be on this path?
Okay, so um, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. That's like my top one. I read that one with my daughter a long time ago. And then Tony Robbins, Money, Master the Game. That is, I think, the book on on money. And one that is not up there is from Robert Kiyosaki. It is, what is the name of that book?
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, I read with my first daughter when she was just, I think, from 12, at age 12. And it is I think that every parent should read that book with their child because it expands it their knowledge beyond the I have to get a job or this is this path that society has created for me that I have to follow. It shows that there are other avenues that you can follow and be widely successful. So these are like the three that I would say are my favorites.
Hmm. Do you have, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Number one, thank you. Do you have any success stories from your clients that you'd like to share?
So it depends on which side we're talking about. If it's tax side, well, ooh, do I have many? So what I like I said, right? I am a really strong proponent for wealth creation, not just saving on taxes. We all want to save on taxes. We all would like to pay zero taxes if we could, right? But beyond saving taxes, there's no point in just saving taxes. And what are you doing with that money that you're saving on taxes, right? So I'm the person who will show my client to put their money into tax advantage assets. So, excuse me. So I have a client whose net was around 2 million, and he has a really, really high tax bill. But his wife, because they are well off, doesn't have a job. And so I'm like, what we're going to do is we're going to invest in some real estate properties. And when we did that, his wife can now qualify for rep status, which means that real estate professional status. It doesn't mean that you're a real estate agent. It means that you're actively involved in the activities of real estate. There's a certain amount of hours that you need to be working on the properties. There's some nuances to it, but she she got rep status. We purchased 2 properties in that year, and so I was able to take their tax bill from 300 370,000 and bring it down to, I think, less than 40 using rep status and cost segregation.
Hold on. From $370,000 tax bill down to 40,000. I know that still sounds a lot to those of us that have never paid more than a $2,000 tax bill or that still get a tax return. But for a business that's making 2 million a year, was that it? Almost half of what they made that. Well,
so the tax bill was
30-40%.
the tax bill was about 370 because they were like a pass through, and so they're paying taxes on their personal tax return. So their tax bill was around 370, maybe a little bit more than that, and then I was able to get them down to a little under 40,000.
That is incredible. Wow. Okay. So, needless to say, I'm probably going to be working with you more because I resonated. I don't know if you saw me animate when you said when you have a business or when you start a business, here comes Murphy's Law, and everything that can and will go wrong will go. Man, when I say I started the business, went to Offer Mastery Live, I came back, I'm pumped up, I hit a brick wall because I'm excited. I'm up here and I'm talking to people from my job about everything I've learned and all the possibilities that we can have. And they're like, you can't talk about that stuff at work. You got to talk about work at work and leave your personal stuff outside of work. So it almost killed my drive. I'd already formed the business. And so I go and get my business bank account set up the next week. And as soon as I do that, my wife's in the hospital for a week. Meningitis, viral meningitis. Her head felt like it was expanding and would not stop. If I didn't take her to the hospital, which we don't go to hospitals, like we just don't do that. We never really have anything wrong with us. If I didn't take her, she could have potentially died. Like that was one thing. Then every one of my kids had something going on with either their relationship or car. And then the money thing. Like I invested a lot of money in my earned golden, and I haven't made any return on my business since I started. You know, a business isn't a business unless you have revenue. I have no revenue right now. And I'm trying to find the fastest path to revenue. And because I'm still in employee mode and I'm forgetting that you can sell your services without having a full course put together or full, like the question everything, right? The question is what is going to give you the content, and then you're there to provide context. But I can't provide context if I have no content. And if I go and get the content from somewhere else to guess at them, I'm not going to give them exactly what they need. So I might as well just go and get some clients. I'm thinking of therapy or I'm providing therapy for myself. I'm finding my own solution by talking to you right now out loud. Get the people first, get the revenue coming in, and then build once you're paid. Am I on the right track?
Yes, you are. Okay, so a lot of people think like they have to build everything complete before getting clients. But the thing is, you might spend all this time building something that you think the client wants. and then the client comes in and that's not what they need at all, right? So the best way to do it is you have a client, and now you can build exactly what the client needs. So you start with, okay, I'm doing this course, and let's say for example, if I decide that I'm going to do a course for women in business, and I would start with money mindset. So I would do the first level of the course on money mindset and get some people in. And as they come in, I'm surveying them to ask what they need.
Mm.
And I'm building it as they're telling me what they need. That way, there's no way to fail if you do it that way, because you're giving them exactly what they need. But I create it first, and then they come in and they're disappointed, and now they're complaining, and you're getting bad reviews. Now your reputation is at stake, right? Not that you intended to not give them what they needed, you just gave them what you thought they needed.
Yeah.
So it's get the clients, do the work. And getting the clients forced you to do the work too, because now you have the clients, you absolutely have to force yourself to serve the client.
And when would you say, so let's say I get the sales, I get the clients, we start next week. When do I hire someone to help?
Okay, so it depends. Depending on what you're doing, what exactly are you offering? What is your offer?
So my offer is focus mastery. I teach creatives and entrepreneurs, or creative entrepreneurs, business owners, consultants, coaches, how to focus on the right things that are going to move the needle and remove all the busy work, remove all the distractions. So I teach them what to focus on to go forward, which is ironic because the thing we have to offer the world is the thing we need the most, right? So it's just consulting.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you something. What does your wife do as work for work?
She wants to be involved in this more, but she owns her own company that's she's a Landstar agent, so she's a truck broker.
Okay.
So she does that during the day, but it gives her some flexibility to be able to help me with some things. And I've been trying to figure out, what do I pass on to her for her to do? And I'm like you, not that I'm a control freak. Okay, I'm a control freak. I'll admit it. Since you admitted it, I'll admit it too. I'm a control freak. I'm a perfectionist. I want it done a certain way, even though the way I do it may not be the way, because I'm the creative. I'm the idea person. She's the admin, the organization. And I'm trying to do the organization, but obviously
So
I'm not good at it.
you need to read this book, Rocket Fuel.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to read this book. So Rocket Fuel is built on the idea of someone who is an action person and someone who's an integrator. And you just described the exact same thing. So you're the action person, as in you're the one who has the ideas. But if you're an action person, integration is hard for you, as in putting the pieces of it together, connecting them from point A to point B to point C, as in this needs to happen next, then this, then this, then this, right? It's hard for you to do. So you need to have someone who is an integrator. Who I can take the ideas to, and then that person helps me to put that idea, to implement that idea. However, if you're consulting, right, you first have a structure as to how you're going to do this, right? You have an idea how you're going to provide the service. So I think that for a service business where you are consulting, you can go all the way up to 100K in revenue, depending on what your say, for example, if your offer is like say 5,000 per person, you could go up to 100,000 in revenue without having additional staff. However, if you struggle with admin part, like you're saying, you can always get someone who is an admin to help you do those administrative tasks. And we can talk about some places where you can get admin staff after the call.
Ooh, okay. Y'all hear that? I get that. I get the exclusive. Okay. So, you know that Chris here is the truth because she is coaching on the spot. And so I'm gonna ask, I feel like that's a perfect segue to ask them where they can find you and work with you. and where they can follow you at. And then we'll wrap this up so I can get to those exclusive details.
Okay, so on Facebook, I'm Chris Cardi, MBA. On LinkedIn, I am Christiane Cardi. On Instagram, Christiane Cardi. Same thing as TikTok as well, Christiane Cardi.
Okay, Christiane. I'm going to add you on LinkedIn. I didn't know you were on LinkedIn. I was going to do some research on you beforehand, and I was like, check out her LinkedIn. I was like, I don't know if she has LinkedIn. I see her on Facebook. Of course you have LinkedIn. You're a business woman. Love it. Okay. Sending you a connection right now. There we go. And so Christiane Cardi on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram, and Christy Cardi MBA on Facebook. And
Chris
Victor
Cardi,
and
MBA.
Associates, Chris Cardi MBA. Chris Cardi, MBA.
Yes.
And then Victor and Associates is the business. You can follow that on Facebook as well.
Facebook, yes. And my website is getvanda.com because Victor and Associates was taken. So getvanda.com.
You know what? I was like, what's Vonda? Get Vonda.
So I did the classic mistake, as in I got a business name and it's my maiden name and Associates for my kids because this is one building, there's four. And when I went to register the website, the domain, the Victor and Associates was taken. I think it's by a company in North Carolina, and they wanted like $12,000 for the domain. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. No. So I'm like, well, what can I do? Because I'm already married to the name. So what am I gonna do? And I'm like, okay, well, I could shorten Victor and Associates with a V and an A, but I can't do like www.vna.com. I'm like, okay, I just will get in front of it, like getvanda.com, and that's it.
And you're telling them what to do. Get us. Get Vonda.
Get Vanda.
Be a day. I like that. I love that. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Question Everything, where we question everything because why not?